GamerCast Network.
Hey. All right. It's a video game show. It's a video game show. It's not a game show about videos. It's a video game show.
Welcome to the GamerCast Network video game show for Sunday, November 16th, 2008. I'm Chad. This is episode number 116. And for the roll call this week, a question from Ruler of Eden. What is your favorite PC game from the 80s? And joining us this evening is Bob.
I guess my favorite game would have been Below the Root. That was RGB. That was old. It's kind of a weird, otherworldly people who lived on a planet with giant trees, but the gravity was real low, and so they would put on things that weren't quite capes or kind of attach their arms and glide from tree to tree. There was like adventure and stuff involved. Adventure! I was like 8 or 10, I don't even remember.
Oh, dude, I'm not knocking your game at all. I just like your description. There was adventure.
And also joining us is Keith.
That would have to be a shareware game that we bought for like $5. It was Mech Force for the Amiga. A man named Ralph Reed made it until FASA sued them and made him stop making it because it was very, very much like BattleTech. We used to set up the Amiga out on the front porch and play all day.
And for those of you wondering, Keith is calling in his contributions this week from a cell phone back in 1950 once again.
Deal with it.
Shut up!
It's comfortable, damn it.
Also joining us is Phil.
I don't know if anybody played this, but it was called Lode Runner. It's kind of like mixed between like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man.
From Border Bund.
Isn't it Broderbund?
Broderbund.
Border
Whatever.
Bund.
I like Border Buns.
Whatever. I thought they were doing a remake. There it is, Xbox Live Arcade in January.
And finally joining us is Ivan.
It's a game called Archon, The Light and the Dark. It's kind of a battle chess. Doesn't use chess moves, but you have chess-like figures. And every time you moved your guy on top of another one, you had to go into battle mode and you actually had to fight. And you had like knights and dragons and unicorns and...
The battles, once you got on the spot, were those turn-based?
No, they were use the arrows and like the space bar or something like that to shoot.
I loved when the infantry guys fought because you just run at each other and mash buttons.
Like the dark side had goblins with giant clubs and the light side had knights.
Luckily you didn't take my answer. Thought you might. My answer is Castle Wolfenstein.
I was going to, actually. That was going to be my second runner-up. But back when that game first came out, we had that for the Apple II, and I remember it being really freaking hard.
Yeah, for the kids out there who think that Castle Wolfenstein started out as a 3D game, no, that was based on the old game called Castle Wolfenstein. It was an overhead game where you had to escape the castle, and there was all stick figures, and you walk around with the arrow keys, and you hear the Germans yell at you when they see you, and you have to shoot them and that kind of stuff.
If you ran into a guard, you had to either give him the pass key or bribe him or kill him.
Because we know those Germans are susceptible to bribes.
Right. And you could either guess, it was like 1 through 6 or something like that. You could guess the pass code, but if you guessed 3 times and you didn't get it right, they attacked you.
I like how you can get it wrong twice.
Yeah.
And the guard is still cool with it.
Yeah, he's like, 1, no, that's not it. 3, no. 4, oh, that's right. Okay, go ahead.
This week on the GamerCast Network. On Sarcastic Gamer, the crew talks about Mirror's Edge and Gene Simmons' kick-ass bass guitar. On the post-game report, the crew is joined by Chaotic Shade from the Tag Forums, and everyone wants to know how many times can they talk about Gears of War 2. On Gamertag Radio, episode number 169, don't miss an exclusive podcast interview with Big Pooh, a member of hip-hop group Little Brother. He talks about the love of gaming, being part of the NBA 2K6 soundtrack, and much more, only on Gamertag Radio. On Uncle Gamer Radio, Harris and Jay address some of the feedback from the PlayStation 3 debate of episode 96. They give their impressions of Call of Duty World at War, Mirror's Edge, and the 2-studio concept. Does it work? On the Sarcastic Gamer PlayStation podcast, Little Big Planet is underperforming, and let's find out what the crew thinks about Resistance 2. Discover the community that brings you all these great podcasts and more. GamerCastNetwork.com.
Next topic.
So I think we're going to have a slightly shorter show this week just because your editor has things he has to do. Life creeps in. Boo-hoo.
Cursed life. I'd kill it if it wouldn't keep me alive.
I guess the first big story we should talk about is, of course, this last week was the launch of the expansion for World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King. And has everyone, well, Phil, you were out of town.
Yeah, I started playing today, actually. I got in last night from my vacation, and I saw the email from Ivan that on the Warcraft site you can download a game client.
Usually it takes a while for them to get that going, that whole digital download thing.
They said it wasn't going to be available at launch, and it would be available sometime after.
Well.
And I guess sometime after meant like 3 days.
Yeah, I've played probably a good 6-7 hours at least today, and I'm still only about halfway to getting one level.
Well, hey, how long did you play the waiting game?
Yeah.
I didn't have to this morning.
This morning I had no queue time. Last week it was horrible, like 1,400 people ahead of me,
Ooh.
68, 70, 80-minute wait times.
That sounds like so much fun.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a hoot right there.
It's a Warcraft expansion. I don't think we have to really talk about content because it's just more...
Yeah, it's more content. The Death Knights are really cool. I made a Death Knight and leveled through the starting area. They've got some really cool spells. Corpse explosion and all kinds of cool death-like things.
Was Corpse Explosion everything you expected, or was it lacking?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. You blow up a corpse and it turns into a big... You remember the opening sequence to the Flintstones at the very end? The girl comes out and puts the giant thing of ribs on the side of the car and it falls down. When you blow up a corpse that looks like those slab of ribs, it's just a giant red pile of meat with bones sticking out of it. It's cool.
You know you have a good game when you say, yeah, it's more of the same, but the same is sweet, so it's good.
But you know what sucks? Everyone's doing the early level, low level quests at the same time.
Yeah.
That was one of the other things where it's like, well, there's so many cool games out right now. Do I really have to pay money with all these other good games to go wait to do stuff? Because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for the monsters I'm killing because, I'm sitting there, there's like 20 other people around me waiting to kill this guy as soon as he repops.
Yeah, the thing to do now is, and I've seen this with Death Knights have some spell where they have like an area of effect thing that's this big red pool of blood that's like poisonous. So what they do is if you have to kill a unique guy, like Ferdinand the Beheader, you put this thing down in the area where he spawns and you just keep recasting that. So the second that the guy spawns, you do damage to him, which essentially makes him your kill. So they just stand there and they do that. Otherwise, it takes you a second and a half to realize that he's there, target him, and then attack him. Well, by the time you do that, these guys have already done damage to him, so you lose the kill.
I miss that so much. I just miss that.
Yeah, it's really fun when you have to go, do your grinding, kill 10 of these things, and everyone's wiping out all those things at the same time.
Yeah, I miss that so much. I really do.
Glad they really addressed that in the new expansion, too, with all the work they put in there, so cheap stuff like that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and if you guys saw, I think it was Friday's Penny Arcade, it was hilarious because it was a guy walking into Northrend for the first time and going, wow, look at this area, it's beautiful, look at all the cool stuff. And then there's a walrus guy, he's like, wow, look at this guy, he's a walrus guy. And he goes over and talks to him, and the walrus says, I need you to kill 6 things. And the guy's just like, ugh. So there's all this cool stuff, it looks awesome, there's all these things to do, and it's the same GD quests as it was before, which is go kill 10 things and come back to me. Go collect 10 feathers and come back to me.
Hooray!
Yeah.
I wish 8 Vulcan toenails. No, go! Don't ask me why.
Actually, the Death Knight starting area is really cool. There's lots of cool quests in there. Even the ones where it's like, go kill 10 of these bad things that are over here. But the Lich King says, by the way, along your way, any villagers you kill, just slay them. Kill everything. Make sure everything is dead. We need to make sure everything, just kill everything.
Oh yeah, I did that one. Like just before you kill them, they start like begging for mercy, and then
As soon as you walk up to them, they start screaming and howling and running away in fear and terror. It's awesome. They made the starting area, the first part, really cool. You could tell they spent a lot of time on it, but you get like 2 levels. And then essentially what happens is they say, okay, the Lich King is actually a bad guy, and you need to go join the Horde or the Alliance, whichever side you're on, and we need to fight him. They don't kick you out of the starting area, but essentially there's nothing else to do, so then you have to go to, like, Outland in level.
You know what else I miss? I miss when the fact that you guys get up in level, you're not going to be able to find groups because everyone's going to be a Death Knight. I miss that too. I really do. I miss that horribly.
Well, someone did finally hit 80, within 27 hours of it launching.
Way to get your money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
I didn't really read over what his plan was, but it just sounded like he just went around and grinded and didn't party up with anyone, had a healer follow him around.
So the only thing worse than getting to level 80 in 27 hours was being the freaking healer who wasn't...
I was about to say, don't kill. You just follow me and heal me. Oh, dude.
Next topic.
Ivan, you finished up Gears. Was there anything interesting out of that?
The single player was actually really good. I enjoyed it. The ending definitely left it open for the third one, though.
That surprises me, actually.
What? Really?
No, not at all.
Because, milking the franchise, that's not something anybody does, no.
You know what? I could care less if someone milks the franchise as long as they're still putting out good games. Like, Gears 2 is fun. Okay, so make a Gears 3. If Gears 3 is fun, make a Gears 4. You could go up to 20. As long as the game is still fun, I don't really care. Milk it. Work that teat till it's spitting dust.
Sweet.
Just get... That's all you get. And then you go, all right, man, time to leave this franchise and go find another one.
That's a beautiful visual. Thank you.
I speak the truths, my friends.
You do. You do.
Okay, the other thing was, anybody here play Left 4 Dead? I think, Keith, you mentioned you played it.
I played both, actually.
Okay, you played both. You played the PC version and 360 version. Which one do you think you're going to get?
PC. Now, I do have the convincing argument of there are more people, like Brian, for example, Fred, there's a couple people I work with that I also know and game with. They're only getting it on the Xbox. So what I think I'm going to do is get it for the PC, and when it eventually goes down in price, I'll pick it up for the Xbox as well. But that'll probably be months down the line. I will say that the Xbox version is better than I thought it was going to be, because playing it on the PC version, it's really twitchy. Like, lots of things are coming at you and you have to be moving around and shooting. And so I thought, okay, how are they going to pull that off on the Xbox? But your just turn rate is very high. But really, it's just the looks are the only thing that I find noticeably different. And they did the controls very, very well. It doesn't bother me that much.
I think the only fear out there about the console version is that it won't have the life that the PC version will.
And you know it won't.
Because people are seeing what Valve is doing with Team Fortress 2 on the 360. They kind of aren't doing anything for it right now. They haven't released any of the updates for the 360 version.
Well, that's true for a lot of people. For me, it's really what is my little gaming group doing? Because, I mean, hell, we played Raven Shield to the ground when no one else was playing that. We were still playing that amongst ourselves. So if a game is good enough to keep our interest, I'm not worried about its length of service there.
That's cool. Next week, though, I should have a review of Far Cry 2. I've been playing it slowly, because I was waiting in a queue for Warcraft, and I decided to start playing Far Cry 2.
Next topic.
We have a couple pieces of mail, so give us a hearty mailbag.
Mailbag!
Okay, we have a message here from C Sharp. Hey guys, just wondering, have you heard of any new Elder Scroll games coming out in the near future? I ask because it's been a few years since Oblivion, and with Fallout 3 being released recently, Bethesda must be doing something.
Of course they will.
There's nothing official, but they have said in a quote to a website, at the moment we've got Fallout 3 for this year, and potentially there's a new Elder Scroll title for 2010. I think it's pretty safe to assume they're going to make a new Oblivion game. Now, what that will be is probably the question. Is Fallout still rocking your guys' worlds, or have you moved on?
I've been playing a lot of that.
I haven't played it in a week or so. I played Gears for a week and then World of Warcraft.
Or Ivan can't take
Yeah, I
it.
know.
He can only, can only play so many games at one time.
I'll play it again soon. It's not like I'm going to come back to it this time next year or anything.
Now, here's a question. When you played Oblivion, you played, 200 and some odd hours of that game? Are you going to play that much of Fallout 3? Or because of all these other games that are coming out, you probably won't play it that much?
Yeah, that's the problem, is there's so many other good games coming out that I can see Fallout being the game that, if I've got a couple of weeks in between releases, I'll be playing that. I don't know that I'll be playing it 200 hours.
I got a couple of spare weeks. I'll pick it.
Well, and we also have the early year to spring drought where they never release any good games.
You never know. There could be something good.
There's sometimes one or two things, but it's not going to be like it has from September to December of this year where there was too many good games to play.
But won't you be playing all the ones you missed in that time frame?
Well, Fallout's one of those. So, yeah.
What about all the other ones? There's like more than just Fallout out there.
I don't know.
I can't do anymore. I can't. Warcraft expansion, and I mean that's enough. I mean, for God's sakes, and then you got Fallout and Left 4 Dead and Gears. Oh God, I'm gonna.
I'm just gonna sit here and rock back and forth.
In my happy place. In my happy place.
Next topic.
One other piece of mail here. This is from Cripsmaster. Based on the podcasts I've listened to and the sites I've visited, it seems like everyone is so quick to say that some of the awesome games that have come out recently, such as Gears of War 2 and Fallout 3, are going to be Game of the Year. What about the great games that came out earlier this year, like Grand Theft Auto 4, Metal Gear Solid 4? Have people just forgotten about them due to the more recent games?
Yes.
That's kind of a tactic of doing that. I mean, at least in movies, that's what you do. All the stuff that's going to get nominated gets released towards the end of the year when all the like blockbuster summer superhero movies get released and make all the money. It is typical, though, that stuff that's released closer to the time whenever things are judged usually gets the awards.
Would it have been who of the people, like, let's say Metal Gear Solid 4, should they have said, let's just wait 5 months?
Well, if they wanted their company to go out of business,
Yeah,
go.
see,
I mean,
okay.
everybody has their timeline. You also run into the problem that Ivan's having right now, which is you get 8 billion awesome games released all at the same time, so you're getting less of a share of the market because not everybody can play everything. Probably make a lot more money if you release your game earlier. You just probably won't get an award, and they're probably like, who gives a let's print another $200 million.
Which is why, like, Fable 2 isn't getting as much attention as it should. It's an awesome game, but with all the other stuff coming out, everything is overshadowing it. So, I mean, God forbid you release something that's not a blockbuster, you know, like an Xbox Live Arcade game that's really, really good, you know.
No one will ever see it.
Right, which is the same with movies. You know, you could have a really good, like, independent movie sandwiched between, like, Lord of the Rings and Spider-Man and Hulk, and no one's ever going to see it.
Never see it.
Are there any good Xbox Live games supposed to be coming out soon?
Nobody knows. See, that's the problem.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any recently.
That's the other thing, is there's been so many good retail games. I haven't played an Xbox Live game in months.
Castle Crashers was the last one I was really.
Yeah, that was pretty much the last one I played.
And I did play Mega Man 9 for a little bit.
Wait, so Keith, you played Mega Man 9. Have you pulled your hair out playing that game?
You know what? I've only managed to beat Concrete Man so far. Those games are harder than I remember them being.
Yeah, I remember playing the demo and getting 5 minutes into it and being dead 15 times already and saying, okay, either I was a much better twitchy kind of gamer when I was a kid, or this is a lot harder than I remember.
It's probably a combination. I think they might have ramped the difficulty up a bit. Because I played through some, but I don't remember being quite that hard. I remember being challenging. I just remember being that challenging.
Mega Man was always rough because it's one of those, if you touch anything, if you jump wrong, you're dead. But it was never quite that bad. Like I said, I've only just managed to beat Concrete Man the last time I played it. So I'm one guy in out of the 9. Go team me. That's right, kids. Come listen to me for video game advice because my skills are subpar.
My skills are average at best.
And there we go. That was the informative, somewhat entertaining, but albeit brief, episode 116 of the Video Game Show for Sunday, November 16th, 2008. Any ham sandwiches or Shattered Dream Pies? And actually, we have a ham sandwich here for Bob. Someone sent it into the mailbag. Norman Sanzo wants to give you a ham sandwich for Madagascar 2. He said it was very entertaining, the movie looks good, and the water looks way better than Ratatouille.
Damn right it does.
Take the credit for the whole movie, Bob.
No, I will take credit for the water, though. I helped on all the water shots.
There you go. So, any other ham sandwiches or Shattered Dream Pies?
Now, this isn't video game related, but Bob for his working interface for Champions.
Ham sandwich to the guys who made Quantum of Solace, a decent Bond film. Well, by the time this show goes out, it'll probably be a Shattered Dream Pie, but Browns tomorrow night, football, they're going to lose.
Who are they playing?
Buffalo.
In Buffalo, in the snow probably. Shattered Dream Pie to me for my vacation ending.
How was the Bahamas?
Bahamas was very nice. I was pirating in the Caribbean. Lots of booty.
Okay.
Waka waka waka!
This thing on?
And on that note, see you guys.
Quick reminder, don't forget about getting in your entry for a chance to win a copy of Gears of War 2. Remember, we're looking for something funny, be it a question, comment, story, whatever. It just has to make us laugh. Send it to the mailbag, along with your comments, questions, queries, concerns, or roll call question at mailbag@videogameshow.org, or Skype us at videogameshow, or call us at 320-300-GAME. That is a standard long distance call, and all normal fees apply. And that's a wrap. Good night.
Jerky is so f***ing delicious.
Jerky.
I made beef jerky.
You made the beef jerky.
Mm-hmm.
Did you kill the animal that...
I stabbed the... No, I just went to the store and bought some ground beef, mixed in some pre-mixed seasoning packets, and voila, it's done.
You made jerky out of ground beef?
What do you normally make it out of? I've never made beef jerky.
I would have thought you'd use...
Steak or...
Yeah.
No, man, what you do is you take ground beef and you mix in the cure and the seasoned pouches, and you mix it up, and then you put it in like a cookie gun, and you squirt it out in little strips. And then when you dehydrate it, it becomes a little jerky strip.
You evil, evil man. How can you grind up a fine band like The Cure and make beef jerky out of them?
They're delicious.
So I have a question, real quick. If you had an eating contest with beef jerky, would it be called a jerk-off?
Oh, Jesus, God.
It'd be a beefy jerk-off.